Welcome back to the MSing Link podcast. We have Mathew Embry with us again today. So thankful that you're back with us.
Thanks for doing this. It's good to be back.
Of course. We had our first conversation and I had so many more questions that I wanted to ask you because everything that you're about with MS Hope and your fitness and the best bet diet is so important. And therefore, a lot of people often have questions on that. So we're going to jump into those. But before we do, I just wanted to remind you guys who Mathew Embry is in case you didn't know. Mathew Embry is an award-winning documentary filmmaker and advocate for patients with multiple sclerosis. His recent feature documentary, Living Proof, which is available globally on Amazon Prime, premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival and has sold out in theaters in multiple countries. Mathew Embry was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 1995, and his documentary, Living Proof, is an autobiographical story demonstrating why more than 25 years after his diagnosis, he is symptom-free and living an incredible life. So if you didn't listen to our first podcast episode, I would highly recommend you do that. We went into MS Hope, best bet diet, and what his daily routine looks like. So Matt, what I want to go over today is some questions that I get, and I assume you get as well. So one thing that you have all over your life, really, whether it's fitness or nutrition, is the no cheat days.
hmm
And I'm curious, what if someone comes to you and they'll say, oh my gosh, I just need one day where I don't do anything. What would you suggest to them? What type of, I'm assuming you'd still say to exercise.
Yeah.
If so, what type of exercise?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. I mean, I think that the no cheat days is a philosophy that I really try to drive home. And I think what I like to do is just, teach people empirically why I believe that. Because if you have one cheat day a week, you're looking at roughly 14 to 15% of your life, you're not on the program. So if that's the truth, that means you're starting at 85% as best as you can be. That's the best that you can do. Like that's where you're starting. So you're only going down from there.
Wow.
And that's my perspective. But if people do want a day off, I mean, I do not advocate taking any nutrition days off. I just don't. For me, I see what those foods can do to your body, and I'm not going to have that. But when people say, exercise and things like that, then I encourage people to be doing something like mild, like stretching or going for a walk or doing something like just getting that body active, getting that blood flowing. I think is just so important, especially for people with multiple sclerosis. So, and also too, it's like you gotta ask yourself, like a cheat day, who are you cheating? Like you. And then if you're cheating you, then you're cheating the world around you. So it's like, well, like what kind of life do you want to lead, right?
Right. It's so much more than yourself at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I like that there's different options there. What if someone sees you, big muscles, very fit, running miles, lifting heavy weights, and they think to themselves, like, well, I just know that I can't do that. What would you suggest to someone who can't perform at the same level, but still wants to take your strategies and philosophy into their own life?
Well, I'd say two things. I mean, well, three actually. One thing, I'm much smaller in real life than I am on camera. So I want to be clear. Like, a lot of people meet me like, "Oh my gosh, you're so thin or whatever. You've lost weight." I'm like, "No, I haven't. It's just that's how it works."
Right.
Um, but the thing is this. I mean, number one, I think that what I try to do is show people what's possible. And I'll tell you the honest truth. Like today, I did 5 miles, and I was listening to David Goggins almost the whole time. Guess what? That guy is better than me. Much better than me. Why do I listen to him? Because he gives me a possibility. So it's like even at my health stage, and I'm not saying that I'm great, but I'm doing pretty good. I have someone who I'm looking out towards who's so much better than I am to inspire me. And so I hope that like what I'm doing for people with MS is giving them that same inspiration. They log in, they say, okay, this guy, it may not be true, but he thinks he's the hardest MS patient in the world, right? And that's what I want people to aspire to, or I hope inspire them, right? And then the second thing is, you've got to do what you can do. Like there's so many people with multiple sclerosis that suffer from different disabilities. So, okay, I understand that, and that's not easy, but what can you do? And that's where people like you come in, where I think we need the experts, and people to turn to the experts and say, okay, look, I've got foot drop, I've got, an issue with my right arm or something like that. What can I do? And you need people to help guide you. And okay, here's some stretches you can do. Here's some exercises you can implement. Here's like some machines at the gym you can do without having to, without that being an issue, with the goal of getting some of that mobility back. And I think that's where I don't really know any other way how to live,
Right.
and I'm very blessed. I don't have that kind of disability, but I've got things I can't do. And so I'm like, well, how am I going to get there? And that's about every single day, like seeing that goal in your mind, literally, and then making the steps towards it. And that's why I try to share with people. If you can walk to the end of your driveway, walk one step further the next day. That's a hero to me, right? If you can move your finger and that's it, move two fingers the next day. I mean, it's that, and it's that small incremental advancement that people need to congratulate themselves for. And I think people should be celebrated for even that, and I shouldn't say even, like that, those types of things, because that is, for someone, that is a huge challenge.
Yeah. And even taking that a step further, when you do celebrate something like that, you're more likely to do it again because you want to feel that same level of celebration and pride in what you did. So I'm a big advocate for when you do something that you want to do consistently, truly celebrating that every day that you do
I
it.
completely agree with you. I couldn't agree more, actually. It's evaluation is something that so many people just forget about once they've left the school system.
Right.
But it's something that I think needs to be done weekly, daily. Like, how am I doing today? There was a time in my life, this is also true. There was a time in my life I would say out loud all the things I did wrong that day.
Oh my gosh.
I would sit there in my room and just say them out loud. I treated this person this way, or I did this, or I thought this. Like, I would just say it out loud until, like, every day it got less and less and less and less and less. And I'm not batting 1,000, but compared to who I was before, a lot better.
Right. Wow, that'd be a harsh reality for a lot of people.
Yeah, tell me
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. So, and I love also you said there's something for everyone, which is so true. I have a video, I'm trying to remember where I posted it. I think it's on my YouTube page. And it's exercises to do when you're fatigued, because a lot of
Mm,
people feel when they're fatigued that they just can't do anything.
yeah,
Yet, if it's possible, you can still move your arms. As you said, if you can still lift a finger, there's still things that you
there's
can
something.
do instead of
Exactly.
just sitting and literally not doing anything.
hmm and I think it's like running down a hill. I think people be amazed sometimes once you get the momentum going, how things start to go.
Yeah. So that's my next question actually is, let's say someone is listening to this right now and you're inspiring them to get more active consistently, but they haven't exercised in a while. What are some of your tips to get started? Because that for some people can be the hardest part.
Start right now. Like, that actually is my advice. Like, turn this off and go.
I
You
love
know,
that.
and I think that when people do that, they're gonna be shocked. Like, just stop your life, tell the people around you, call your boss, say, I need to exercise and I'll be back in an hour. Like, just go do it. And then, like, what people will be amazed is, like, once they start, all of a sudden they feel better, and they'll be shocked that the world adjusted around them. Like, is there anybody who, like, has ever worked for me or I've worked for? I called them and be like, hey, they'd call me and say, I want to exercise. I wouldn't be like, good, you're gonna be better. Like, and then if you're gonna be better, then, like, we're gonna have a better company, all that kind of stuff. And relationships, same thing. And I think it's that the problem, I think people have two problems. One, they think there's going to be this perfect time to exercise because maybe they experienced it once in life where it was just like, oh, that was the best workout. I hope that comes again. It may never come again,
Yeah.
right? And so that is a problem. And the second problem is the goal is too high. So people think, well, if I can't run a marathon, I'm not going to run. Like, no, like, don't. Like, just running down the block is a big deal, and it's never going to be a perfect condition. Like, it's just never going to be. So unless you start right now, today, you're on borrowed time. Like there is no tomorrow until it happens. So go for it.
So how often do you set goals? Weekly, monthly? How does that work for you?
Every day, every day.
Daily.
I have a day timer and I sit down in the morning. I have my coffee and I just start writing it out. Like here's what's got to happen today. And then I just check it. I have a system. And then I have like, I'm doing a marathon in like 16 days. And I think, I set that goal a while ago and I'm like, I'm just doing that. And then I think I try to be like, again, like I'm pretty, I mean, I post about this kind of stuff. Like I just don't, I think that you have to constantly be setting goals and figuring out where you are.
Mhm.
Right. Like I think I shared a story where on Father's Day, I gave my kids a card and I said, in my card, can you write how I can be a better dad? Like I want to go there. Like
Mhm.
I know they love me because they gave me a card, but it's like, yeah, what am I not doing? Like, tell me what I can do to be better for next year. Because I don't know, right? And
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I think that it's scary for people to go there because you may hear what you don't want to hear, but
Mhm.
if you know in your heart you're just hearing what you already know. And
Yes.
I think that's, but to go there is amazing because then you complete it, you know?
Yeah. So it sounds like too, your goals are not only fitness, nutrition, but also just lifestyle, in every different part of us, spirituality, connections, relationships.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Nice.
mean, I think that for me, it's about the quest for perfection, and I think that is a never-ending goal. And like anybody who thinks they're there, it's just like really, you know. and I,
Yeah.
and I think that comes down for me. That's about relationships and how I treat people and how I speak and how I write, and there's always something for me to be working on,
Mhm.
whether it's the yard and I'm brutal at that, and I think that with that kind of approach, man, like life gets interesting because you're like, well, can I be doing something better? And I'm also a believer. Like, imagine after this interview, if that was it, I died. Okay, well then this is my final interview. Did I give a good interview? I
Yeah.
take that back. I don't want to die, but I try to approach life that way. Like, if this was the
Mhm.
last time I had to put up a shelf, did I do it the best I possibly could have?
Right. Yeah. So, one thing that I've seen you talk about is relapses, but not necessarily relapses from multiple sclerosis, relapses from lifestyle changes.
Yeah,
So, people maybe they do either maybe they're exercising right now because you've inspired them to, or they decided to eat a healthy meal right now, but then eventually they might fall off, or, they have
sure.
these relapses. Can you explain that? And then also what your tips are to stay consistent?
Yeah, I mean, I want to be really clear on this because I believe this and I've experienced it. Like the mind is going to push you towards comfort, right? I've experienced it. And you can have these mini relapses where all of a sudden you're not working out, or maybe you're not watching your diet all that much, or maybe you've let something slip into your diet that you think you're still going well. Like I've been posting recently about how I was eating a lot of dried fruit. And I just that slowly came into my diet. I wasn't paying attention until it hit me and I was like, okay, too much sugar. I'm feeling it now.
Yeah.
Right. And I also think that like even recently I had an exercise thing where, the gyms are back open now, where suddenly my mind like, oh, just go to the gym. And that's like way more comfortable than running in the hills near my house. Right. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, wait a minute. Like you're already talking yourself into the easy road. Like, yeah. And then, and I punished myself that day. And it's true. I punished myself. I'm like, no, you're going for an extra long run now in the hills because you were letting off and you were relapsing back into comfort, ease, security, all those
Mhm.
types of things. And I think it's natural. So, and I don't necessarily see it as bad, it just is. So it's that constant, okay, I let myself go, but you can change right now. You can change right now. Just don't do it anymore. Right. And then you try. But what else can you do?
Right. What is a question? As I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about the questions that I get from my clients about exercise and nutrition, but I love these Zoom calls that you do, basically
Mhm,
just a Q&A and being able to
mhm.
pick your brain and just talk. Do you get any specific questions that we haven't reviewed yet, frequently, like something that's always something you feel like you're talking about because people are asking you about it?
Yeah, protein powders, like literally, like this. I mean, it must be here in the States, right? That must be a big thing in the US because
Yeah,
it's,
it's pretty popular.
I don't think it's as big up here, but it's just like, no, I don't take a protein powder. It's like, it's constant. Like, it's just I almost feel like wearing a shirt. Like, I don't have, like, when I'm posting, just that's a big one. I don't have any protein powders. A lot of people ask me if I'm vegan, or a lot of people convince me to be vegan or try to convince me. And I'm like, I'm just not, I mean, I to appreciate your help, and I'm open to the, whatever, but I'm not doing it. And here's why. And I try to point people to like our website and, you know, those are two I really get a lot, but I don't judge. I mean, if people want to use a protein powder, well, there's risks. If you want to be a vegan, like there's going to be, however, it's up to you. Like you got to do it, what works for you. But again, that's where I try to just live it
Hmm.
and show people. I mean, I can sit here and show you lots of studies and all that kind of stuff, or I can actually just show you the proof.
Right? The
Uh,
living proof.
yeah.
So, my last question for you, and for our listeners, they can't see you right now, so they don't know what I'm looking at through my screen, but you are sitting outside. It's sunny, it's a beautiful day, the leaves are nice and green.
Yeah.
So, one
Good.
thing that you talk about is vitamin D.
Hmm.
So, what are your thoughts on that? But, any time of the year, not just on nice days.
Yeah, vitamin D has been essential to my program, high dose, and that's for me. It's about 10,000 international units a day. I think you can figure out on direct MS how much you should be having, but high dose vitamin D, it's essential. I mean, it's a sun. It comes from the sun. As you see, I'm sitting outside. I think putting UV light on my body is also a major part of my program. It's been that way for 20 plus years. Without sunscreen, I'm just, it's your risks. It's your. I'm not advising people at all. It's up to you, but I'm just telling you what I've done.
Mhm.
And I've exposed my body to ultraviolet light for 25, 20 plus years now, consistently. I just believe that that vitamin D is for immune regulation and so many things. It's just essential. So we definitely advocate for that, and I hope people take take that seriously, not just for multiple sclerosis, but for all sorts of things.
Yeah. And also, this is not the same as vitamin D, but if you do get some of your vitamin D by going outside and being in the sun, then there's the added benefits of fresh air and just getting outside. I feel like, especially within the last year and a half, a lot of people stayed inside a lot. So just getting
Oh,
out.
yeah, you are so right. I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, within our first interview, I talked about computer sim theory, right?
Yep. Yep.
And I do believe, like, if you're not careful, this world will kill you. Like, it'll take you out, right? And the things you need to do to be healthy are very challenging,
Hmm.
right? And it's getting harder. Like, it's what you said is correct. It's gotten harder, and I've seen it. I've seen people who are really suffering from this new life that's coming, and I think you got to really. That's why I'm doing the interview out today. I said, I love doing these interviews, but I'm like, I'm always in my room. Like, I want to go outside, and I hope she's okay with that. But I
Yeah.
mean, God's created us a world that's like, go live it. And that's what I try to tell my kids. I'm like, look, because it bugs me how much video games my son plays. And I say, look, like, if you got a body, go use it. Like, go out there and live it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you're doing a phenomenal job at that. And I, again, just love that you're sharing it all with us virtually so we can follow along. With that said, how can people find you if they want to look you up or look more information on MS Hope, Best Bet Diet, all that good stuff?
Yeah, I try to be really accessible to people. So they're on mshope.com. You can find my email, like my personal cell phone numbers on there. There's links to a free cookbook, link how to get to Living Proof, the documentary through Amazon Prime, and then all the social media channels that I try to operate. I'm not very great good at it, but I'm getting better. I think there's links there as well. But that's kind of that's the best way.
Awesome. And yeah, I'll provide those links in the show notes. Also, how can they find information? It might be on mshope.com. I'm not sure. How can they find the information to join you on your live chats that you host?
Oh yeah, okay, that's good. That's on mshope.com. There's a link. It's the same link every week. So if you bookmark it, you can just drop in whenever you like. And then I post it on Facebook and Instagram the mornings of we. I mean, there's every so often my dad and I can't facilitate it, but we try to do it absolutely every week. Yeah, and please join us and ask questions. And it's good to see regular people back. And I think that's been massive for us because we can reach people again all over the world without getting on a plane, without wasting money,
Yeah.
and do it weekly.
And what day and week or day of the week and time is it typically?
Yeah, so it's Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern time, 11 a.m. Pacific time, noon Mountain time, every week. And then I repost that on Facebook Live. So you can,
Awesome.
and it's actually on Facebook Live at the same time. So I take questions on Facebook Live while I'm doing questions on Zoom. So
Gotcha.
you can participate either way.
Awesome. Yeah, I've just been on one of those so far, but it was fantastic. So I love
Oh,
that you
thank
do
you.
those. Yeah.
Yeah, they're really interesting, actually.
Mhm.
You should do one. You should come on one day. Oh, you've already been on them. But you
I
should come
should.
again.
Yeah, we can do it again.
Because people ask, I don't know if you were you on the ones where people were asking about you. I try to like,
Oh, that's fun.
yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you again for being here. You have such amazing insights. And I personally love that what you're doing, it's backed by research. It's not just something that you thought would help, but there's actually things showing that these philosophies can help. So thank you so much for being here and for sharing all these insights with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, and good luck on your journey.
Thank you. And thanks all the listeners for tuning in. We will see you next time.